Hey guys, it's your girl T. So I wanted to come on here and talk about the situation that's going on with Andrew Hawkins. He's a Cleveland Browns wide receiver. And basically the other day on the football field, he wore a t-shirt honoring Tamir Rice and honoring John Crawford. Tamir Rice, as we all know, was a 12-year-old boy who was shot and killed in Ohio for having a toy gun. And John Crawford, I had done several videos about him. He's a young man who was shot and killed in Walmart because somebody decided to call 911 and said that he had a real gun, and it ended up being a toy gun. So this Cleveland Browns player decided to wear a t-shirt, and the president of the Cleveland Police Union, his name is Jeffrey Fulmer, he was really pissed off about this. He was saying that it was a poor decision. He had no right to wear that t-shirt. And now he's also saying that the death of Tamir Rice was justified. So this is causing a lot of outrage online. I want to go ahead and play you guys a news clip. He had met with MSNBC's Chris Hayes, and he did an interview with him. And this interview it really bothered me. I want you guys to watch this, and I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary.
Hawkins, a Cleveland Browns wide receiver, however, is not apologizing for wearing a shirt that read, quote, "Justice for Tamir Rice John Crawford" during warm-ups. Rice, a 12-year-old, was shot and killed last month by a Cleveland police officer while carrying a pellet gun. Crawford, 22, was fatally shot in that Ohio Walmart, as we mentioned, while holding an air rifle he got within the store. The Cleveland Police Union head, who is about to join me here tonight, not only disagreed with Hawkins' statement, but argued athletes had no business weighing in at all, saying, quote, "It's pretty pathetic when athletes think they know the law. They should stick to what they know best on the field. The Cleveland police protect and serve the Browns stadium, and the Browns organization owes us an apology." He continued in another statement, quote, "He's an athlete. He's someone with no facts of the case whatsoever. He should stick to playing football and let us worry about law enforcement." Earlier today, Hawkins himself defended his decision.
My mom has taught me my entire life to respect law enforcement. I have family, close friends who are incredible police officers, and I tell them all the time how they are much braver than me for it. Unfortunately, my mom also taught me that just as there are good police officers, there are some not so good police officers that would assume the worst of me without knowing anything about me for reasons I can't control. As you all know, and it's well documented, I have a 2-year-old little boy. That little boy is my entire world. And the number one reason for me wearing the t-shirt was the thought of what happened to Tamir Rice happening to my little Austin scares the living hell out of me. And my heart was broken for the parents of Tamir and John Crawford, knowing they had to live that nightmare of a reality.
And as Hawkins talked about his respect for law enforcement, he did not back down from that original statement.
To me, justice means that the innocent should be found innocent. It means that those who do wrong should get their due punishment.
Why should he or anyone have to apologize for stating their sincere views on police conduct?
Well, first off, he doesn't have the clear view of the police conduct. He's calling for justice on 2 officers that were called to do their job with a male that had a gun inside a park, that they had to defend themselves and use deadly force on him. So it's not a call for justice. They were justified. And Cleveland police officers work with the Cleveland Browns hand in hand, and when he disrespects 2 of our officers, he's disrespecting everybody else.
But, okay, you guys disagree on that. Why should he apologize to you? Why shouldn't you apologize to him? You have a disagreement about the facts of the case and how to proceed.
Well, we're not apologizing to anybody. I mean, calling for justice on 2 of our officers, they need to do it to us because they're disrespecting our officers on a job we do hard every day, and a job that 2 officers were put in a position to by a male's actions.
In the statement, you talk about serving and providing security for the stadium. How is that relevant?
Well, a lot of police officers work there. We are with the Browns organization. When you talk about 2 of our officers, doing a justified shooting, you're talking about all of us. Any one of us could have been in that circumstance.
Sure, but I mean, are you implying that it's relevant somehow? Are you implying that security would change because of this disagreement?
No, we wouldn't change. We're here for the community. We're here for the people that go to the Browns games. We're here for the public.
And when you say that he, as we read your statement, doesn't know the facts or the law, how do you apply that logic? Wouldn't that apply to any citizen who may not be a police expert but has some legitimate view of police conduct? I mean, don't you think at a certain point that this kind of reaction risks feeding the perception that some of these police unions or some folks here don't think they're accountable to public views?
There's a video of this, and everything speaks for itself. Their action, the male's action, spoke for itself. I mean, the video clearly showed, and by the officer's statement, that they were justified in the deadly force.
You're saying the video clearly shows that the 12-year-old boy was an imminent lethal threat to the officers?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if you didn't see it, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we have some of it up on the screen. We're showing it. I mean, there's tremendous disagreement about that. In a lot of cases, that would constitute probable cause for a crime unless there was a lethal threat to the officers. But ultimately, that isn't your call, is it? And it's not the athlete's call. That's a call that has to go through the criminal justice system. I guess what I'm trying to get at here from your statements, and the reason why they've upset some people, is that your statements seem to presuppose that the police union or police officers have the final word on the facts here. You know that's not true. You know we have a system here of criminal justice that leaves that decision up to grand juries and the criminal justice process, right? And people are free to talk about it.
They're free to talk about it, but it shouldn't be talked on a football field where we are supporting the Browns by doing security every day when we support the Browns.
Are you saying, this is what I'm trying to understand. You just said before, of course, it wouldn't change your approach. Why does your security that you provide, and police bravely provide security for entire cities, stadiums and not, why would that affect his free speech rights to voice an opinion here? I mean, you're not really answering that question.
He can voice his opinion, and that's fine, but I'm just saying that calling for justice for his opinion on what happened that day, he's wrong. And that's what I'm clearly stating. And he was cleared by a city, these two were cleared by a city prosecutor already. This shooting was justified, and like I said, it's a tragic that it was 12-year-old, but it was justified.
So to be clear then, if you're saying he can state it, then are you withdrawing the request for an apology for him to state the view, or he can state it but he has to also apologize?
I'm not saying, I'm not withdrawing anything. He disrespected police officers who were out there doing their job. He's surrounded by police officers. When you're talking about two of us that were put in a situation like these two where you're talking about all of us.
And what do you think on just a more human level, if I can ask? You heard his statement talking about his child and these fears, and a lot of people talking about that conversation around the country. Does your heart go out to people who are worried about their children unarmed losing their lives in these kind of incidents?
Well, it depends what you're saying, what's unarmed. I mean, this male was obviously he wasn't unarmed. He had what they thought to be a gun, and they also thought him to be 20 years old. He's 20 years old. We're not sitting here today.
Sure, but you're well aware of many of the other cases. I know it's outside of your city, but the Eric Garner case or other cases, what do you think about the concern people have that folks are being killed in some cases by officers when there's less than a lethal threat posed?
How about this? Listen to police officers' commands, listen to what we tell you, and just stop. I think that eliminates a lot of problems. I have kids too. They know how to respect the law. They know what to do when a police officer comes up to them. I think the nation needs to realize that when we tell you to do something, do it. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, then the courts will figure it out.
All right, so you guys just watched the news clip. I think what bothered me the most was Jeffrey's, just his condescending, defiant attitude, his voice. He just seemed like just really, really disgusted by the situation. He just came off as really, really cold. For him to say that both of these deaths were justified, and for him to say that, you need to listen to the police. I mean, what are you trying to say? That if people don't listen to the police and don't, abide by what the police are saying right there and then, they deserve death? And my thing is, I watched both of those videotapes, and when I watched both those tapes, one with the police officers storming into Walmart to come after John Crawford, that man had no idea what hit him. It's like he didn't know what was going on. He literally looked up, and there were police officers surrounding him, and then he was shot. And the most he could do was try and hide. So I just think for them to try and say this is justified is just sickening to me. Even with the Tamir Rice video, to watch that video, they literally pulled up, and 2 seconds later, that kid was dead. There was no questions. They didn't give any of these people enough time to even think to process what was going on, to put down the gun, to even speak, to say anything. They literally just showed up and shot at these two guys. And I don't even want to call Tamir a guy because he's a child. You know, and then for him to say that, oh, if he was a 20-year-old, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. But the point is, he's not a 20-year-old. So all the shoulda, wouldas, and couldas don't even matter. He was a 12-year-old child. And there's no reason for a 12-year-old child to be shot and killed in the manner that in which he was killed over a toy gun. You know, the whole situation is just really disheartening. And, you know, there's such a huge divide right now between the police and the citizens. And there's so much hate. And there's so much hate and venom going on both sides. It really bothers me that this police officer is more offended by Andrew Hawkins wearing that t-shirt in ode to Tamir Rice and John Crawford than he is the fact that both of these young people died and they did nothing wrong. You know, so the fact that he's so bothered by that, you know, speaks volumes. So that entire video pissed me off, and it was just really hurtful that, you know, a lot of these sports entertainers do not speak out. You know, it's funny that it was okay for them to sit here and dump buckets of ice on their head and participate in the ice bucket challenge. But then when it comes to this situation, they're quiet. You know, Samuel L. Jackson called out a lot of black folks the other day on social media. So it's a lot of people who have not spoken out. And when we have an athlete, you know, speak out and wear a t-shirt and pay homage, why are we shaming them? Why are we making them out to be the bad guys? Last time I checked, Andrew Hawkins didn't shoot anybody. He didn't kill anybody. He wore a t-shirt, you know what I'm saying, basically showing what side that he stood with, and now he's being made to be the bad guy to the Cleveland Police Union. I just find that insulting, and I just find that really, really strange. So anyways, go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this entire situation. How do you feel about him wearing that t-shirt? Do you think that he had the right to wear the t-shirt, or do you feel like he shouldn't wear the t-shirt? Because we know other celebrities have been wearing t-shirts that say, you know, I can't breathe and things like that. And how do you feel about Jeffrey Dahmer and what he had to say about the entire situation? Do you agree with him, or do you feel like he came off really, really cold? So anyways, let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. All right, deuces.